Hello everyone, Javed Basha here. In the last session, we have been discussed about industrial policies and the objectives of industrial policies. And in this session, we are going to discuss about industrial policies in India since independence. Okay, since independence, we could see that the Indian government has formulated various industrial policies like industrial policy 1948, industrial policy 1956, industrial policy 1977, industrial policy 1980, industrial policy 1990, industrial policy 1991. Right? We will be discussed one by one. Okay. So, in the Indian industrial policy, first Indian industrial policy was implemented during the period 1948, okay, after the year of independence. Okay, so here in the first industrial policy, it made clear that India is going to have a mixed economic model. Okay, it is clearly tell the whole world our Indian country or our Indian government is going to have a mixed economic model. Okay, partially open to the world and partially closed to the world. Okay, so it is mixed economic model. Our country is going to have mixed economic model, and the industries have been classified into four broad areas. Okay, so like strategic industries or public sectors. Huh? In this means public sector means the authority, the ownership is completely controlled or having by the central government or the government of India. Okay, it includes three industries in which central government had monopoly. Okay, this includes arms and ammunition, atomic energy, and retail, railway, transport. Okay, three industries: arm and ammunition, atomic energy, and railway transport. Okay, these are the three industries which are completely controlled by the government of India. Means government of India had monopoly in these industries. No private or private companies are allowed to form their own entity in these industries. It is fully controlled by the government of India. Okay. The next, basic industries, nothing but public private sector. Okay. Here government has categorized into six industries like coal industries, iron and steel industries, aircraft manufacturing industries, ship building industries, manufacture of telephone industries, telegraph and wireless apparatus, okay, and mineral oil. Okay, these are identified as key industries, okay, or public private sector industries. In these industries, private people can form their own entity with the help of government. Okay, hence the ownership is held by the both central government and the private. Okay, so the industries will be set by the central government. However, the existing private sector enterprise were allowed to continue. Okay, so the third type is important industries are fully controlled by the private sector industries. Okay, so these industries are categorized into 18 industries. Okay, what are those? Like these industries, these 18 industries includes heavy chemicals, sugar, cotton, textiles, woolen industries, cement industries, paper industry, salt industry, machine tools industry, fertilizers, rubber, air and sea transport, motor, tractor, electricity, etc. Okay, these are industries are called as important industries, and with the ownership is fully controlled by the private sector. Okay, and these industries continues to remain under private sector. However, the central government in consultation with the state government had general control over them. Okay, the fourth important type is other industries or private and cooperative sector industries. Okay, all other industries which were not included in the above mentioned three categories were left open for the private sector industries. Okay, so during this phase, government has government has implemented Development Regulations, Industries Development and Regulation Act. It is nothing but License Act 1951. Okay, why it is implemented? It is implemented to promote Industrial Policy Resolution 1948. Okay, so the next industrial policy, which one? 1956 Industrial Policy. Okay, Government of India has been revised its first industrial policy, nothing but Industrial Policy 1948 through the Industrial Policy of 1956. Okay, it was regarded as the economic constitution of India or the Bible of state capitalism. Okay, we call Industrial Policy 1956 as economic constitution of India or the Bible of state capitalism. Okay, the 1956 policy emphasized the need to expand the public sector, to build up a large and growing cooperative sector, and to encourage the separation of ownership and management in private industries, and also prevent the rise of private monopolies. Okay, so here in 1956 policy majorly focus to expand the public sector, to build a large and growing cooperative sector, and encourage the separation of ownership and management in private industries. Okay, so it also prevent from the rise of private monopolies. Okay, the next basic objective of 1956 policy is it provided the basic framework for the government policy in regarded to industries till June 1991. Okay, as I told, the 1956 industrial policy is called as the Bible, the economic constitution of India. Okay, hence it provides the basic framework, okay, for the government's policy in regard to industries till June 1991. We know that during 1991 government has reviewed the industrial policy and opened up to the world. Okay, government introduced LPG, liberalization, privatization, and globalization. Okay, until then, this industrial policy of 1956 Act had provide the basic framework for the government to form the policies with respect to the industries. Okay, so in industrial policy 1956, industries have been categorized into three. Like in the first schedule, or we could say it is a schedule A, which consists of 17 industries, was the exclusive responsibility of the state. Out of these 17 industries, 4 industries, namely arm and ammunition, atomic energy, railway and airport, had central government monopolies. New units in the remaining industries were developed by the state governments. Okay, in the schedule A, they identified 17 industries. Among those 17 industries, 4 were exclusively managed by the central government, and remaining 13 industries were managed by the respective state governments. Right? In the schedule B, consists of 12 industries, was open to both the private and public. Okay, in such industries were progressively state owned. Okay, and in the schedule C, all the other industries not included in these two schedules constituted the third category, which was left open to the private sector. However, the state reserved the right to undertake any type of industrial production. Okay, we know that in during 1948 industrial policy, industries have been categorized into 4 parts. Now, as per the 1956 policy, industries have been categorized into 3 parts. Okay, because the main objective of 1956 industrial policy is to expand the public sector and build up a large and growing cooperative sector to encourage separation of ownership. Okay, so because of this motive, industries were categorized into 3 different parts or in the 3 different schedules. Okay, and industrial policy 1956 stressed the importance of cottage and small scale industries for expanding employment opportunities and for wider decentralization of economic power and activity. Okay, we know that in our country we have the tradition of cottage, like cottage and small scale industries. Like we could see that some family businesses in our country. Okay, so those kinds of businesses importance. Okay, here it clearly stressed on the importance of cottage and small scale industries for expanding employment opportunities and wider decentralization of economic power and activity. Okay, because small scale and cottage industries are those industries which are normally including the family businesses. Okay, family businesses. So these are some businesses where they are providing some direct employment and indirect employment to the people, particularly in the rural areas or in small cities. Okay, hence, in 1956 policy, government has stressed out on cottage and small scale industries promotions. Okay, and okay, so the resolution of 1956 is also called as effort to maintain industrial peace. Okay, because a fair share of the proceeds of production was to be given to the toiling mass in keeping with the objectives of democratic socialism. Okay, so and apart from this, we have criticism for the 1956 industrial policy. Okay, like private sector reduce the scope of the expansion of the private sector. Okay, because the main objective of 1956 policy is to expanding the public sector and reducing the private sector monopolies. Okay, so and we'll be discussing industrial policy 1977 and 1980 in the next section class. Thank you.